December 13th meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Let's rise and have pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Dombrowski. Here. Trustee Gilbert.
Here.
Trustee Guerrero. Here. Trustee Nora.
Here.
Trustee Capoli.
Here.
President Madison.
Here.
President Sitt.
All right. Approval of the agenda. I have a couple of edits I'd like to make. New business item number N, community center agreement. I'd like to table that one for remove it from the agenda for this meeting. And unfinished business, agenda item A, ordinance 302, spending ordinance. I'd like to remove that one from this month's agenda as well.
I make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Support.
Amended, sorry, thank you.
Then properly moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Public comment on the agenda.
Good evening, everyone. I am Jonathan Tazi, the planner for the Village of New Haven. I just wanted to kind of give you guys all an update on the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. Just recently, the Parks and Recreation Commission recommended adoption by the council of this document. We've been working on it for about the last 9 months or so. And on this final draft, we have most of the final changes that we need to make, the inventory side of things, the boundaries of all the parks, recreation resources, and parks. We've also updated all the demographics, except for, we have one more to make for the disabilities, persons with disabilities number, but that is a simple change to make. But everything else has been addressed in the document, and we feel very good about what we're presenting to you guys. And then if you guys so wish to pass a resolution on this tonight, we will then just submit it to the DNR for their recording of the document, and then you guys will be eligible for different grants that are available for your Parks and Recreation development. Thank you.
Any other public comment on the agenda? Okay. Approval of the minutes. Council meeting minutes for November 8th, 2022.
I will approve the council meeting minutes for November 8th, 2022.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any nays? No. All right. Approval of the consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Been properly moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Consent agenda passes. Payment of the bills, treasurer's report, approval of November 2022 payroll in the amount of $66,743.42, and bills to be paid for December 2022 in the amount of $198,891.49, for a grand total of $265,634.91. Do I have a motion for approval of bills?
Make a motion to accept the treasury report. Or approval of bills, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep you moving, Brian. Accept the approval of the payroll and the bills to be paid for December.
Support.
Yeah.
And then you want the amount, oh, okay, payroll, $66,743.42, and bills to be paid, $198,891.49, for a total of $265,634.91.
All right, move tonight. I hear we have support from trustee Dilbert. Roll call?
Trustee Bonkowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Polly?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
And President Bison.
Yes.
I'll move to receive and file the treasurer's report as presented.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. Communication and committee reports. Clerk?
The agenda items for the January 10th meeting are due calendar-wise by the end of December, but realistically, the beginning of January is fine.
Planning Commission reports. I don't know if trustee Dilbert, if you want to give it.
We did meet last Tuesday, and we did some housekeeping. We had to adopt our meeting dates for next year, and there were a couple public hearing minutes that we had to approve.
Parks and Rec report, trustee Guerrero.
Yes, we met last month, just wrapping up the holiday events that were a huge success. We were talking about upcoming events in March for the Pistons game. So keep a look out on the website for that for sign up. And then just discussing more events for the summer, things like that.
All right. New business. Item A, we have 2023 council calendar dates. Admittedly, I did not check to see, do we have any conflicts with any of the dates on the proposed dates? Doesn't look like any of them are on holidays.
I mean, that's Valentine's, isn't it?
Oh, February 14th, Valentine's Day. We want to change the February 14th one, or do we want to just have it on Valentine's Day? I love you guys, but I don't know.
I'll move to approve the 2023 calendar dates as presented.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any comments or discussion on the item?
I will later on a different agenda.
All right. Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll have those dates. All right, new business item B, treasurer appointment. If we could have our one person who submitted a letter of interest come up to the podium. And if you could, Lucy, if you could just introduce yourself to all council, just kind of tell everybody why you're interested in being the treasurer.
My name is Lucy Nolan Dilbert, and I'm officially retired from regular working, so I have plenty of time to offer. Most of my background has been in insurance, but as you know, insurance usually involves calculating premiums and handling money. Plus, I was a manager for a while and had to balance, their books at the end of the day. So I'm kind of familiar, but not with numbers this big. But I think with a little help, I could do the job. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay. We only had one person submit a letter of interest, so anybody wants to make a motion for?
I'll make a motion to appoint Mrs. Lucy Nolan Dilbert to the position of treasurer.
Second.
It's been moved and supported. Do we need roll call or just? All right, let's do roll call.
Trustee Bonkowski?
Yes.
Trustee Purpoli?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Dilbert?
Abstain.
And President Bison.
Yes. All right. Welcome to the
Thank
team.
you very much, everyone.
Yep, thank you.
Looking forward to it.
All right, next up, we have our trustee appointment. This was the seat that was vacated by me. We have one individual who submitted their letter of interest that's on hand tonight. But we did have 2 letters of interest that were submitted. Both of the letters of interest are in your council packet. Mr. Succi, if you could come up. And similarly, if you could introduce yourself and just tell council why you're interested in joining the team.
Sure. Good evening, council. My name is Alan Succi. I'm a resident of New Haven. I live over in Decorah Park. I am married about 9, actually just celebrated our 9-year anniversary. We have 3 kids, 11-year-old daughter, 9-year-old daughter, 6-year-old son. We moved into the neighborhood, we built a house, moved in March of 2021. I currently, my day job is as a senior underwriter for a company over in Pine called United Wholesale Mortgage. My main role there, for the most part, is analyzing credit, mitigating risk, making decisions on determining whether or not we'll obviously lend to a potential borrower. In previous roles with the company, just before I made the transition into underwriting, I held the role of Assistant Vice President of Operations. I had about 500 to 600 direct reports. It's an extremely diverse company, so dealing with people of all different backgrounds, ages, you name it, has always kind of been something that has really come naturally to me. Big focus on servant leadership, so my main goal really in coming before everybody tonight is to speak to you guys about the opportunity to kind of dig in and really serve my community in the most servant way possible, and that is joining you on the council. Love to answer any questions that you guys might have for me.
Any questions?
Welcome to New Haven.
Thank you very much for us.
And thank you for joining, thank you for choosing our community.
It's awesome. We love
Make
it.
it home.
Yeah.
All right, so like I said, we, the second person that had the letter of interest unfortunately was unable to make it tonight. So I guess if we can have a
Motion in order.
motion in order for,
Then I would like to make a motion that I would like to make a motion that we appoint Mr. Succi as Succi?
Such, you nailed it.
Mr. Succi to the vacant trustee spot for the 2 years remaining.
do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved
Just to move the motion along.
and supported. Any discussion on the item?
I do want to comment on the other candidate that put their interest in for there. They have a lot of experience and different points of view that they bring to council as well. The insight that they bring, and I do think that they would make a asset to council as well. Not to discredit Mr. Succi here, but I mean, we're in a position where we can only make a good choice, right? So, but I don't want his candidacy not to be represented, at least at the table in some form. So I'm speaking in favor of him.
If I could. You know, I talked to Mr. Mason, and I expressed my concerns about the other candidate, and I kind of wish he was here. But the one problem I have with the other candidate is, being an incumbent, he chose not to run. And I think if he was really interested, he would have ran to retain his seat. But it seems like he has chosen in the past to sit back for the vacancy and get the easy appointment. And I have a problem with that. If he was an incumbent, he most likely would have been successful if he had chosen to run. And the fact that he chose not to run, I think it's time that we move on and we give a fresh face, a fresh view, and opportunity to serve this community.
Any other discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Bonkowski?
No.
Trustee Guerrero?
No.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Burkholder?
No.
And President Myson.
Yes.
We have a draw.
Motion doesn't pass.
So do we gonna have a conversation, or what can we do?
Actually, that's it. Motion doesn't pass.
Okay.
It's a conversation.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you can't move on again.
Okay.
The next meeting, we'll revisit it.
Well, I can make a motion, correct? I can make another motion?
Sure.
Okay. So then I will make a motion to appoint Mr. Kelly to the position of trustee.
Okay. We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Second.
Been moved and supported. Do we have discussion on the comment or on the agenda item?
You know, like I said earlier, you know, the fact that he chose not to run tells me that he's really not interested, that he's looking for the easy appointment. And having sit out in the audience for the last 2 years and hearing some of the things that he said and his so-called expertise on budgeting and whatnot, and when I was at the budget hearing a couple weeks ago, I saw nothing that had been put forward that that makes running this village any easier. I think he has complicated his you know, the whole budgeting process, and while he claims to be this expert, I think when you look at a federal government budget and a Village of New Haven budget, you're talking about two different things, two totally different things. And I mean, when you look at the federal government, where his expertise supposedly lies, you know, I'm not going to look back at the federal government that paid $4,500 for a toilet seat. Okay, so that doesn't tell me that the federal government is doing everything that's right. Okay, I truly believe that a fresh face is what's needed. He had an opportunity being an incumbent. He should have ran like everybody else.
One thing that I think, you know, personally, if we would have appointed our other nomination, I would have still looked to maybe see if Mr. Colley would be interested in doing Ways and Means, because the Ways and Means Committee does not have to be elected officials. So we would still have the opportunity to use him for his financial in that regard.
I just want to comment on the part where him not running. I had a conversation with him months before the election, and from my understanding, I can understand why he didn't, because he was expecting to have a different role at his job, and that role has since not come true. So at the time when he made the decision not to run, he made it for good reasons, and then it was only after the election that that part fell through. And that makes sense to me. It's not for a lack of disinterest, I don't think.
That was my understanding also, is because of his employment or his really with his job, so. But I think he brings a lot of fresh insight, and I think that he does hold it into dives more into the financials, whether I know it's different financials, but I think he does bring some fresh insight. Something I think that's really that's the reason why I chose Mr. Potter.
But the fact remains, we all have different roles.
Yeah.
You know, we have different, you know, responsibilities, and well, I personally am retired, but I think everyone else on this table still have real jobs and real responsibilities and young kids, and, you know, I mean, my kids are adults, you know, and like I said, I'm retired, so I'm probably more flexible than most. And, but I think, you know, we all, you know, have to manage our time and do what we need to do. I still believe that he has chosen to take the easy route, and, you know, one time was fine, okay? But if we're gonna make this a habit of keep reappointing the same person with a 2-year seat, I think we are not doing this community any justice. I mean, like I said, we got a young man in front of us who's a new resident. I don't think he has any, he has no agenda. He's just a fresh face, and I think we need a fresh face.
Any other discussion on the agenda?
I'll just mirror what Mario and Karina said, that I did have discussion with Mark as well prior to him putting his name in for the election, encouraging him to run again because I appreciated the value he brought as far as the budget goes. And at that time, he did explain the job situation. And I will agree with you though, Chris, that there are a lot of things that he talked about us doing. But unfortunately, there were some things that happened over the past 2 years that didn't allow us to dissect those budgets down and really do what we wanted to. And I think there's other people on this council that would agree with that. So I look forward to being able to do that work.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Crocoli?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero? Yes. Trustee Dilbert?
No.
Trustee Nona?
No.
Trustee Meissen? Or President Meissen, sorry.
No. So we're split with this one as well. So I think we'll have to table this to next month.
They were coming in. Yes.
Do we have to go through the posting process again and everything?
You should.
Yeah.
Since it should open it back up.
Yeah.
Just see how we submit what I submitted, they can have.
Okay. Do we need a motion for tabling it to next month?
Well, actually, no, but to make a good record, we could do that, maybe. By automatically, they don't pass, it's open. Okay, so if you want to say we want to revisit it next month, the motion to do that would be appropriate.
Okay.
Or a motion that we post it.
All right, either way you want to say it.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to post it. Mr. Harris?
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion?
If I just may, Ms. Sachi?
Sachi, yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much
Oh, yeah.
for putting your name in. I appreciate that we all appreciate that very much.
Not a problem. Thank you all for
I
listening to me
encourage you
tonight. I
to
appreciate
do
it.
it again. Thank
Of
you.
course. Thank you.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We will table that to next month. And like Trustee Donkowski said, would be encouraged to, resubmit.
So we are going to begin taking applications again for the next month to be voted on at the next meeting.
Yes.
Can we put due date of possibly like the Tuesday before so I can get it in the packet or even the Friday before?
Yeah, you have the December 30th, so we want to post it with a due date of the 23rd, next week.
I think you can extend it to the 30th. Even the 31st.
So the 31st?
Yeah. I usually check my email here.
Everybody okay with that?
31st of December.
Yeah, for the deadline for posting it.
I just want to be able to get everything in the packet.
Okay. Let's see, so new business, item D, committee appointments. For this one, there is in your packet, board term list. So I noticed, I think Parks and Recreation, when I was going through it, I think there's a vacancy there. We actually kept going back and forth about whether or not there was a vacancy, and there actually is. We have a vacancy there that we actually should probably post as well.
No, there isn't, because Nita Thompson's name is not on this.
Oh, Nita Thompson.
So we are fully.
We are, you're right.
Mhm.
So it's just a Planning commission?
So planning commission, I did have somebody that reached out to me, but I don't know, clerk, we haven't gotten
We
a
have not
representative.
received anything
Okay.
officially.
So we have that one open, the council seat will remain open, and then, ways and means. So, like I said, when I was looking on E-code at the, ordinance that we have out there for ways and means, it does not say that it has to be an elected official. I was hoping that, one of the individuals was gonna be here tonight, but he, you know, Mr. Colley couldn't make it. Tracy has, trustee Domkowski has, volunteered to, join the Ways and Means. And then I guess, with not having Mr. Colley here, I guess I would propose that I will, I'll take the third seat, unless we have anybody that's interested in the third seat for the Ways and Means. I have to be there anyway, so.
How often are they meeting?
That's actually the next item that we gotta discuss is the next Ways and Means meeting. We have to get that scheduled. So I guess, should we have a motion to appoint trustee Domkowski and myself to the Ways and Means?
I'll move to appoint Tracy Domkowski and Brian Meister to the Ways and Means Committee.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and supported. Roll call or? Okay. Roll call?
Trustee Foley,
Yes.
trustee Guerrero,
Yes.
trustee Dilbert,
Yes.
trustee Nona,
Yes.
trustee Domkowski,
Yes.
and President Bison.
Yes. Okay. So now that we have a full Ways and Means Committee, we need to get a meeting scheduled. We don't necessarily need to discuss it right this second, but maybe offline we can set that up.
If I could, Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
back to the planning commission.
Oh, yes, good point. So planning commission, we do have the vacancy, but I forgot to mention also was that trustee Domkowski previously was the liaison. She has stepped down as the liaison to the planning commission. So trustee Dilbert has volunteered to be the liaison. So if we could have a motion to appoint trustee Dilbert to the liaison position for planning.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported, roll call.
Trustee Domkowski,
Yes.
trustee Guerrero,
Yes.
trustee Nona,
Yes.
trustee Foley,
Yes.
trustee Dilbert,
Abstain.
and President Bison.
Yes. Thank you. Alrighty, let's see. Next up, we have resolution for authorized bank signers. Clerk Whitstead, if you could kind of go over that for us.
So, with the new appointment for Ms. Dawn Dilbert, and currently the previous treasurer, myself, and trustee Domkowski are the signers on the account. With the former treasurer gone and Ms. Dawn Dilbert appointed, we need new signers on the account, so. Historically, it's been the treasurer, the clerk, and a trustee. So whatever the pleasure of council is what we shall do.
And we're looking to do this resolution tonight.
Yes, because we need to get Ms. Lucia on the accounts and sign the checks.
So I think if we have, for the three names here, we have, we're gonna have Ms. Dilbert as our treasurer. You said clerk is usually on there as well, so clerk Whitstead. And then if we could have a third volunteer to be the check signer, I don't know if trustee Domkowski, if you wanted to continue doing that, or if you wanted somebody else to,
I can continue if it makes it simple.
okay.
What resolution number would this be?
2022-012.
So the only addition, would be the newly appointed treasurer.
Yes. But I think we have to take this resolution to the bank that shows all of our names on it, so I don't know if you want to list them all in the motion.
They could be difficult down there.
So I'll move to approve resolution 2022-012, resolution to approve authorizing financial signatories for the Village of New Haven, whereas the names are Lucy Nolan Gilbert, Tracy Bonkowski, and Rachel Woodson.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion on the matter? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Foley,
Yes.
trustee Dilbert,
Yes.
trustee Bunkowski,
I will abstain on this one.
trustee Guerrero,
Yes.
trustee Nona,
Yes.
and President Heisler.
Yes. All right. Item F, council pictures. So with new council, actually, we're still gonna have the vacant seats, so, at the January meeting. Maybe what we'll do is we will, schedule our council pictures for February for the,
Valentine's Day?
Everybody wear red.
on Valentine's Day, yeah.
Resident names all around.
That works for everybody. Item G, council training, Clerk Lissa.
So there is a lot of trainings out there through the MML. I included some handouts in your packets with links to the MML. There's a newly elected officials training, there's the elected officials academy, there's a ton of training out there. In addition to that, previously we had discussed bringing Coco in to do the, what's the name of that? Parliamentary procedures, but at the time it was all done over Zoom and nobody wanted to do another Zoom thing. So now that we're all back to in-person, I'd like permission to reach out to get some quotes and some dates and to find out if she can come out and give her presentation to us. But I also wanted to make everybody aware, there is training out there to the newly elected officials, there's budget workshops, there's all kinds of things on the MML. And there's webinars, I mean, you can just sit and play something while you're, I don't know, cleaning the house. But there are things out there. You'd be surprised what I do in my spare time. But there is training out there for anybody that would like to take a look at it. And I think previously we had started a policy for training. It hasn't been finished. I think you and I talked about that fact that it hadn't been brought back. But there is funds out there if people want to take a course on something.
I would like to see us take the opportunity to do some training as a group, whether it be like a workshop, ever come in. And it's more applicable towards us specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really open to all of the boards that meet, because it is parliamentary procedures on how, meetings are handled and run and all that good stuff. So I'll reach out and get some costs and dates, and I'll bring it back to the January meeting.
Thank you. Item H, municipal office painting. So we have 3 quotes. To give a little bit of background, obviously if you take a look around in this room, there's been changes that have been made over the years of what's on the walls and what's not on the walls. We have crooked letters on our walls. We have spackle on the walls. It'd be really nice to just get a fresh coat of paint in here and really spruce this place up, as well as the hallway and the office area where all the girls are working. When you look at the walls all over the place, there's dings, there's dents, there's scuffs. We've been in the building now for 15 years, and a few of the rooms have been painted, but not all. So I asked for us to get 3 quotes. Apologize. So we have 3 quotes before us for paint. We have one of the
Can I just recommend a little darker color so your faces don't blend on the camera?
Yes, we actually have not picked out what colors that we would go with yet. But
you.
duly noted. So we have three quotes before us for the village office painting. And if I remember correctly, trying to find which one it was.
Pure color.
Your color.
Yeah, Pure Color was the one that was the lowest. They also said that if we did go with them, they would actually be able to come in here and paint during the week that the village office is shut down for Christmas break. So within a couple of weeks here, they'd be in here painting and getting it done. And we'd have a nice fresh coat of paint on all the walls come January.
Have we ever used them before?
I don't think we have. Some of the other offices were painted by a different company, but I don't think.
I think Pure Colors work. Oh, yeah, they're very good. Yeah. Oh, okay. What?
Well, you're right.
Did any of the other ones say that they could do it that way too, or were you just gonna be on their list?
I think, if I remember correctly, I think.
One was really busy until the end of January, and the other one said he would accommodate anybody who wanted to do it, so. And this one said they could do it at Christmas.
And it says the project would be 5 to 6 days, so he'll take the entire week.
It's not a problem.
Yeah, one of the things that you'll notice if you really,
Yeah.
the Santa hat is really hot. When you walk around, and especially in the back, there's a lot of drywall repair that's not needed. At one point, the office that our accountant was using, the building department window actually used to be there. And when they spackled all around to fill in where the window was, it's like fish-eyed spackle all over the place. There's like little divots all over. So there's just a bunch of little things that they're gonna have to fill in and smooth out and repaint. And if I remember correctly, were they taking the stuff off of the walls? Yeah.
I asked them to, yes.
Yeah.
No,
They're
nails
not gonna
are-
back up though.
They're stacked and started fresh.
Right. Do we have any motions or any other questions?
It looks like Envision does do a little bit more than like some of these, like they're doing finished painting, door frames, the frames are not pre-finished. They're doing more than, kind of around 30,000 instead of 25, and the other one was a little bit cheaper. I mean, does that matter, like, the doorways and the frames and stuff, because I know it's pretty tedious and on the paper too, so I know some of those can be kind of like time-consuming things.
I don't know if any of
Does it make a difference for the guys?
I don't know if any of the door frames were really
The
needed.
frames.
Those are metal.
Yeah, they're all metal.
Okay, so we have what, 97.25 compared to
78. So the three quotes are 7,800, 97.25, or 10,909.
All I gotta say is prices have gone up since I used to be painting estimates.
That's
all I
what
gotta say.
Motion in order?
I'll make a motion that we accept the low bid from Pure Color for painting to be done in the village hall. It sounds like they're gonna pretty much touch every surface, but probably Sandy's office and the president's office, probably the only two that aren't being,
He's saying those are excluded,
yeah.
Yeah, it's the council room, hallway, main office, treasurer's office, building department office, and clerk's office.
Okay.
Do those two rooms not need done?
There's where already repayment.
Okay.
In the amount of,
In the amount of $7,800, with 50% down and 50% upon satisfactory completion.
Support.
moved and supported, roll call?
Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Capoli?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
President Bison?
Yes. Should have known better than take a drink of water. All right. Next up, we have item I, Parks and Rec Master Plan Resolution. So, as our planner told us, we had the Parks and Rec public hearing just before this meeting. I think most of us were here for it. We have some hard copies that are available. There's also electronic versions. I believe we're also, clerk what's that forwarded to everybody, the PDF file. So basically, you know, once we do this resolution and we get this in order with the DNR, it really opens up opportunities for additional funding sources when it comes to Parks and Rec. Clerk, do we, what resolution number is this going to be?
2022-013.
013?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll move to adopt resolution 2022-013, Village of New Haven 5-year Parks and Rec Master Plan.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. Next up, we have ZBA public hearing schedule. Sandy,
Yes.
can you come up as well and kind of introduce the topic for us? Oh, no?
This is just to set the zoning board of appeals hearing, because we have to post it publicly before we can actually hold it. We just have to set the public hearing first. Then the hearing will be held probably before the January meeting, whatever the pleasure of council. So it's not presentation yet.
Gotcha.
It hasn't been presented to our engineer or our planner to get their professional opinion yet.
Okay. So, right, so just to give a little bit of background, we did disband the zoning board of appeals previously. Used to be a separate committee. Now it's made up through council. So if we could, we'd like to do a public hearing prior to the January council meeting. But I think we need a motion for that to hold a public hearing before the January council meeting.
So that would be January 10th. I closed my window and the dates.
Yes, January 10th. I think we have a motion, but we don't have a second.
I didn't make a motion.
Oh, you didn't.
I was confirming the date.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay, guess my question is, this is a ZBA application. Does it need to go to planning first?
He talked to our planner, and the planner said to submit the ZBA application to go before the ZBA
Or we're
board.
just gonna bypass planning?
I mean, I didn't generally understand what was what we were looking for. Getting better than here.
Yeah, this is a separate letter that was submitted to us as well. So we also have a separate letter that was submitted to us by the same gentleman who was put in an offer to purchase the property that is behind the the current community center and food pantry. 30849 Division Street.
Is it for sale?
It is not.
Okay.
So we have this, and then we also have the ZBA public hearing decision.
Maybe you could explain it all for me.
Clerk Whitson, could you maybe explain it again for us?
Sorry. So it's currently zoned as residential office. His request is to rezone it residential. But again, the plans, I only have the big plans, and I haven't been able to get them to our engineer who's out of town. So,
Does he own the property?
do you own the current property?
Yes.
Yes,
Are we just setting a date, should this all be done at that?
yes.
So
This
we
is
just
just
set
a date
and
setting for the
we just say,
ZBA.
okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what I'm thinking, right?
It's a lot of hodgepodge stuff here. and I'm not-
So basically, really, all that really needs to be said is that we had a request for a ZBA committee meeting, and since we are the ZBA, we have to set a date for the public hearing,
Okay,
and then we'll have all the details of the public hearing.
perfect.
So if we could have a motion for setting the ZBA public hearing for the January 10th council meeting, before the January 10th council meeting,
At 6:30?
6:30.
So, I will make that motion. 6:30, January 10th.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor? Opposed?
And I will have more information. I am working, emailing back and forth with the engineer and John to get the professional opinions and letters and recommendations that I will have everything put together for the packet.
Yeah.
Thank you. For the ZBA hearing.
Admittedly, since we disbanded the ZBA, this is the first time we actually have had a ZBA request.
No, it's the second time, but the first time since we lost the, girl in the office that did all of that.
Oh,
So, me and her, me and Becky have kind of puzzled.
all right. Item K,
I have a
MML.
question.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
this is something, but this was at the table,
Well-
but this doesn't have anything to do with that?
And it's not on the agenda, so
Okay.
this will be something that we can discuss at the January meeting.
Okay, perfect.
And I think the items for it, or came with the request for the date to do it, so I think we got it all early, I guess.
Got it all on.
Okay.
All right. Item K, MML 2023 liability and property insurance renewal. Ms. Gazel, if you could kind of explain that one for us.
We're up for renewal again on January 1st. We sent you the property and liability insurance. A couple of the additions that we have is that we added the ambulance, the fire truck onto the policy. There was a slight increase in property and liability rates. There's only actually $857 premium increase from last year. But last year we got $2,800 for their, what do you call that called? The dividend return. We're getting $4,300 in dividends. So basically we're about the same amount as last year. And there was no changes in the coverage amounts or anything like that. So this is just basically a renewal for the next year. So our premium is going to be, where is it? $43,934. So that's going to be our liability insurance. Any questions?
It was ironic with the timing of this agenda item. Our attorney has advised that this is the proper insurance that we're supposed to have for the building.
On that note, to just let everybody know, tomorrow the insurance company is sending a structural engineer tomorrow morning to take a look at the building and the wall issue.
And that stems from this policy.
Yes, after we had a discussion and we had insurance and stuff like that, they said that since it's structural, they wanted somebody to come out because we are not, our policy does not cover structural. He said we would have to, what did he say? He said we would have to sue the contractor, and so that's against the contractor as a landlord too, so. So that's where we're standing right now, so.
Yeah.
So the insurance company said that they're sending a structural engineer, and she will be here tomorrow.
We want to get that wall fully supported before it get a hard snowfall and the wall comes crumbling down and possibly other parts of the building with it.
So right now, the renewal's on the table, right?
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion for renewal of our MML liability and property pool.
So moved.
I'm sorry, I guess I should, dollar amount.
In the amount of $43,934.
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Any discussion on the item? Roll call.
Trustee Gilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Dona?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero? Yes. Trustee Capoli?
Yes.
President Weiss.
Yes. All right. Item number L, council rules of procedure. Trustee Capoli.
So I have two items on the agenda, L and M. They're the same concept, but I put them on two different agenda items, just for one, transparency, and two, in case you want to act on them separately. What I want to do is just begin a discussion tonight to go to a 2-meeting per month format. It's something I've been wanting to do for some time, and I know I'm one of those people that I say I don't care what other communities do, but in my research with various topics that we talked about throughout the years, I see other communities having 2 meetings per month, and so it's not a common, or it's not an uncommon thing. And it started with me when I first got onto council that I found out we pay bills and then approve them later. We still do to avoid late fees and stuff like that, and it didn't sit right with me. And that's where it started for me personally. But one of the things that got me to actually bring it to the table was, it happened a couple of times this year, but more so quite a while ago, is the length of our meetings sometimes actually will either inhibit or in some cases prohibit public participation and public comments at our meetings, because the meetings go so long that we'll have a meeting room with this many people at the beginning, and then towards the end there's nobody, because no one's going to stay there till 10 o'clock at night. So I feel that if we do more of a 2-meeting format, we can take smaller bites of some of the topics that we take. And a side effect of that as well is, while we're here for that length of time, I do think that it has impacted our ability to make good decisions too. I don't know, mental fatigue or whatever you call it, but how many times in the last couple of years where we made a decision, we voted on something, and then had questions either immediately after the meeting or the next day, and it looked like we were fumbling through things because we didn't actually sit around and take a look at all the factors involved in whatever we were talking about. And our old council rules of procedure had a limit on our meeting times to 10 o'clock. We have since got rid of that with our latest council rules of procedure, so we could have meetings, 2 in the morning. And so I believe that if we went to a 2-meeting format, we could even cut that down to say like 9:30. We'll stop all business at 9:30, go straight to calls from the floor, and finish the meeting off from there. That way, the public isn't going to be here and until the late hours of the night to comment on some of the agenda items that we have. And the other 2 things that I have in favor for it are not necessarily mine, but I've heard with discussions with past council members and current council members, if we go to a 2-meeting per month format, it will lessen the impact of tabling things in order to do them right. Because we will not be tabling them for months, we'll be tabling them for weeks at that point. So, like take the community center, for example. It was said at the meeting that we voted on, when we still had questions and we still had concerns, we can't table it again because it's been too long. It was actually said that way in the meeting, and that's not a reason to vote on something. There's things that we have to, the information we have to make good decisions. So if we did that, it would lessen that impact of doing that. And the last thing I have for it is the flip side of it, the things will get done quicker, right? We'll be meeting more often to vote on things more often, so projects that we're working on could get done in a more timely manner. So we're not dragging things on for 3 or 4 months. They would be dragged on for 3 or 4 weeks at that point if we were trying to get all the things we want. And I'm coupling all of this with the ordinance, because we're talking about council rules of procedure, and then there's an ordinance 376, because our pay, trustees' pay are $200 a meeting. So if we go to a 2-meeting format, we're actually doubling the amount of meetings that we're having. I'm proposing that we cut our pay in half to $100 a meeting so that we get all the benefits of the 2-meeting format, but not costing the public any more money to do it. And I just want to start that conversation tonight, find out what everybody thinks. I know we passed the meeting dates for next year, so I'm not looking for this to be anything today. I'm not looking for anything today, just a discussion, but I wanted the new council to have input on that, because you guys ran, knowing that we were going to have 1 meeting a month and that your schedules accommodated that. I wanted you to have input on this proposal specifically, which is the reason why I waited. And I wouldn't want to go to a 2-meeting month format until the ordinance became effective. Just because the ordinances take longer to take effect on a rule of procedure. So what is everyone's thoughts on that?
I like the 2 meetings a month. I also like action items that happen early in the meeting, and maybe information items that happen later in the meeting. I agree with you, as we get exhausted as time goes by. About dividing the pay though, my reservations about that are, again, if the member making decisions for future councils. And I don't know if I'm comfortable decreasing the pay for the future. But I would be open to possibly, let's experiment and let's try the 2-meeting a month rule for a while, and let's see, prove that it's productive, and then maybe revisit the ordinance at that time. Because I'd hate to see us do all the ordinance work, and then maybe the 2 meetings a month really aren't working out for us. Maybe we get really productive between now and then. So that's my thoughts. You put a time limit on it, like we try it for 3 months and see if we're, because I agree, I like the 2-meeting. But we have to have attendance, so we have, it's a commitment by everyone.
One of the things that Trustee Capoli mentioned when he's talked to me about this, is the ability of then you could have like your first read of an item, ordinance, at the 1 meeting, and then you could, give the 2 weeks, and then you could actually vote on it then at the following council meeting, and yet it still isn't delaying the process, that it still is reviewed and voted on within that month, which I thought was kind of a benefit there. As far as council rules of procedure, one thing that I definitely would like to request is like our agenda items, actually having who it is that requested each of the agenda items like we used to have. I don't know if that necessarily falls under the rules of procedure, but just because it's nice to know who it is that actually made the request.
Yeah, you jumped ahead of me, that was going to be a next month thing, but I did want to have a discussion on the entire council rules of procedure, but I wanted to bring this one up because of the scheduling, because it has an ordinance kind of attached to it, and it affects how we function in council really, more so than a lot of things, like how the agenda is formatted. So that's why I just brought that specific one up. But yeah, I think in January or February we should really look at the entire rules of procedure, because things for transparency, I think we have a lot of room for improvement to be more transparent to the public. And we can start with the rules of procedure before we put our packet out there and everything like that. just by, shooting from the hip, I think the second or Tuesday.
Then you have the first seven to 9.
Yeah. So that, yeah, so even say we came back and someone brought a proposal for, a plow truck, but there was only one quote, or we want 2 more quotes, rather than waiting a month. The following week we get a quote, the following week, the week after that, we have a meeting on it. So it's not, it doesn't impact, doing things right.
Progress.
Right.
What are the thoughts for both of you guys? I know, Chris, you've got a lot of experience on council, but Fred, what are your thoughts as the newest member?
That's a great question. What are the benefits and the risks, if you will? I agree 110% at the same time. If we need more time to discuss it, to have a proper decision, I think that would probably be best as well.
I think the only concern I have, it's not a concern, it's my opinion, is that having sat through a lot of council meetings, I think we need to remind ourselves that council meetings are to be considered business meetings. We're here to conduct the business of the village. And I know over the last couple of years, I've sat here until 10 o'clock and then the motion is passed to extend the meeting and we go to 10:30. And I think if we stay focused on conducting the business of the village, then our meeting won't become that long. We've already gone through 75% of this agenda in less than an hour, and that's what it should be. Okay? A second meeting, the one item that I do support is the first reading, and it's something that we haven't done in the past that we should do, especially on resolutions and ordinances. We should have a first reading, okay? And then a second reading to adopt. Okay? Now that's the one benefit that I do see with a second meeting. Other than that, if we continue to come in here with a agenda that is specifically geared toward conducting the business that needs to be handled, then our meetings, I don't think will be that long. I mean, and there may be those occasions when we do go long, okay? But, right now, so far, I'm impressed with the amount of comments that are being made, and we're making comments that are meaningful, and not just talking to be talking. And that's why, we've gone through 75% of this agenda, and we've done it in less than an hour, because we are conducting the business of the village. That's just my opinion.
And, the majority of our meetings are like that. I'm basing this too off of the possibility, because I think I counted 6 times since I've been attending council meetings, either here or out there, that we went past 10 o'clock once this year. And I think the longest went to almost 10:40. I think it kept getting extended, and I think it got extended 3 times in the posted before that. But to me, at that point, one, you're running an inefficient meeting. That's a sign that you're running an inefficient meeting. And 2, I don't believe that there are good decisions that can come from that. So if we put it in our rules of procedure that can't happen, that we're not going to have meetings at 10 o'clock, business will end, and then we'll come back next time and start over. One of the side effects of that too is we would then have to prioritize our agenda, right? Because if we have a finite stop time, the important stuff is going to come first. We will amend our agenda and put the important stuff first, and things that are maybe not pressing or anything like that. Those will be the items that get pushed back. And if we look at actual hours, I put out there, 9:30, but let's say we say meeting, business won't be conducted after 9. With 2 meetings, that actually rolls out to about 4 hours, which would be the equivalent of having a meeting until 11 o'clock now. So we do have more time to have discussions in a month versus having it all in one meeting, in one big sitting. We could break it up into 2 separate meetings, take smaller bites, and go from there. So I do think that that's the benefit of doing it in that way.
Mr. Addis, what are the rules? So let's say it's already 10 o'clock and we're only halfway through our agenda. with this potential of a second meeting, are we allowed to say, we're gonna stop this meeting, we're gonna continue it 2 Tuesdays from now?
I mean, you can always run your own meeting and make your own rules, and as long as you pass the proper ordinances or the proper resolutions, when they have 2 or whatever. But I'm gonna use, and don't get me wrong, I'll ask the whole board this, just as a query, how does this discussion end tonight? We can sit here all night and discuss this, and then the clock goes, and the clock goes, and the clock goes. Is there a motion on the floor? Do you want to suggest that someone study it and bring a motion at the next meeting? You want to, these are great ideas. You can have 2 meetings, you can have 4 meetings, you can have special meetings. You also have to remember, you do have the ability, if you are flooded one month with a number of things, to call special meetings. There's nothing wrong. You can do whatever you want. You guys are the elected officials. But at some point, conducting the business is, okay, the idea is put it out here. Mr. Coley, how would you have this discussion end tonight? With a motion, or with a committee to look into it, or with tabling it to next time? At what point does the discussion reach either a decision-making or an idea to move forward?
So the reason why I want to have a discussion right now is because of the ordinance that's attached to it, because if there is support for it, then the ordinance will go into your court to write, if you wanted to go ahead with the pay portion of it. I don't want to go ahead and have an ordinance drafted up if there's no support for it beforehand, right?
Okay. So the proposal, I guess, would be to either make a motion that you have the ordinances drawn up, or make a motion to, now that you've introduced the idea, to allow council to think about it and bring it up at the next meeting, or table it to the next meeting, or have a committee or someone propose whatever you guys want to do. I represent communities that meet twice a month. I represent communities that meet once a month. There's no hard and fast rule. There's benefits to what you bring up by taking off smaller budgets. But one of the questions becomes is that this will become now, this discussion, what action, if any, do you want taken at this meeting to move this forward? If any.
And I think one of the things that you brought up, Attorney Addis, that I guess to me is a good idea, at least maybe we open ourselves up to the idea of is that, like Attorney Addis said, if we know that we have a month where we're going to be swamped with a whole bunch of things, why don't we proactively say we're going to do a special meeting for the 4th Tuesday, or even ordinances. We do first read up at the regular council meeting, and then we do a special meeting or actually probably in my opinion, maybe it would be the reverse. We do a special meeting to do the first read, get it out into the public, and then we would vote on it at a regular council meeting that's on the books, normally scheduled council meeting. That way it's, happening at the regular meeting that everybody is planning on attending. But maybe we can
Yeah,
work through that.
I never even thought of that too. Even if we go to the 2-meeting-a-month format, you would almost virtually eliminate the need for calling for special meetings, right? Because it would become a regular meeting at that point.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
So why don't we table this until next month so that everybody can chew on it, and then
A whole month? Not 2 weeks.
Well, it's the holidays.
They're out. Next month. But yeah, I just wanted to bring it out there for a discussion to find out where you guys are at. Because it is going to be, it's going to be us going to say everything.
and then if we table it to January, maybe we can also then do the deep dive into the full council rules and procedures as well.
Then we can incorporate all at once, yeah.
We have a motion for tabling.
I'll motion to table items L and M to January meeting.
Moved and supported. Any further discussion on the agenda item?
We're going to work on the council rules as a group at the next meeting, or how would you like that?
Yeah, good point.
To submit?
Yeah, if you could submit any changes that you see in the council rules of procedure, ahead of time, or, do we even wanna have a workshop to discuss ahead of time? Well, we got the holidays in 3, so I mean, I guess it's not the easiest to fit unless we did a workshop the week of the first week of January. I don't know, what's your pleasure? Do you guys wanna just submit them via email to Mario, to Trustee Pacoli?
Yeah, send them to me, and then I'll compile them and then BCC everybody so that everyone will get them all, and then, but it won't be a group email kind of thing, everyone will have an individual email for news for, open meetings.
So it's been moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moved and supported, that one passes. So item N, community center agreement, that one we removed. So item O, ARPA fire department truck payoff. So this one, we found out ARPA funds cannot be used for paying of debt. And when we agreed to purchase the fire department truck, we agreed to a 3-year financing plan. And in doing so, made it ineligible for the ARPA funds. So we have in the packet the invoice and payoff amount. Chief Steer, I don't know if you want to, if there's anything you wanted to comment on this, or no? Got it covered. All right, so we have the payoff letter that was attached in the packet. Let me pull it up here. So, of course, I opened them in the wrong order.
The full payoff amount is $101,833.99.
Thank you. So, basically, you know, our accountant has advised us, we have the money that we can just pay this off entirely rather than financing over the 3-year period. Paying it off, we do incur a few $1,000s worth of interest, but I believe in the long run, it's saving us the full amount of the interest by paying it off now.
And using the ARPA funds,
We cannot use the ARPA funds,
period.
period, because it's a debt.
Can we
We financed it.
can we use payroll?
So we are going to be using, for the ARPA funds, we actually, if we were to use all the catch basin repair work and payroll, that basically takes care of all the ARPA funds. So we have the proper amount that we can report for the ARPA fund usage.
So we're gonna pay for the catch basin with our, correct, and then use that money which is designated.
That would allow us to pay for this. So basically, you know, when we agreed to the purchase of the fire truck, shouldn't have been financed if we were planning on using it for ARPA funds.
Never mind.
If I may. It's these type of situations that would probably benefit from what Mr. Procoli is suggesting. Because obviously this was done without proper research. Like I said, I've sat in the audience for a lot of months and I saw a lot of things take place around here. And I've seen trustees look like deer in the headlight. But they were steady approving things without proper information. Now, this right here would be a perfect example, which I may support what you're suggesting, because we need to take a step back, pause, make sure we got all the questions answered, before we make these decisions. So now we're having to move money.
Yep.
Now, the catch basins have already been paid for, I assume.
Yes.
Yes. But I have to report from 21 till the end of December, and then I'm reporting in April 2023. And I can use what we have already paid for on that report.
Okay. Okay.
April 2021, so we've had that many catch basins. I'll send the list that I picked up to the council tomorrow.
Do we have any other surprises coming from the ARPA fund?
No, we've already got all the money. We basically use all the funds. We are considering a final rule, we're considering NEU, which is, I don't remember what it means, but we are considering our final rule, which means that if we would have got $10 million, which we did not, that we don't have to report like the people that got 10 million and above. So I have to report, but I don't have to report. It's a double-edged sword on how they want the reporting, but they want us to tell them what we did actually pay for we used that money for. We don't have to be very specific, there we go, that word. But we do have to report them what we did use the money for.
Okay. Well, my question again is,
So infrastructure was one of the ones that we could report to them, and payroll.
do we have any other projects where we've designated ARPA funds that may not be possible?
Only thing that was ever approved by the council was the fire truck.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to go back through and look at what was there. There's, at many of the council meetings, there was a lot of discussion about, we can use ARPA for this, we can use ARPA for that. The fire truck was the only one that we formally said that we were gonna use ARPA funding for.
I think it was just about every purchase could be done with ARPA.
Right, everything that was,
And they obviously can't.
everything except finance,
Okay.
finance items. So basically, for the purposes of tonight, it's, one, letting you know that we can't use the ARPA funds for the purchase of the fire truck. Two, is it the pleasure of council to just pay off the fire truck or continue with the 3-year financing?
So for the 3-year financing, the total purchase price would be $103,451.46. To pay off tonight of the $101,833.99, it's a $1,617.47 savings of interest.
But we can use ARPA funds for that, for the payoff.
No,
No, because we
this
voted
is,
finance.
We can't use it at all.
this would be, Ms. Gazel, will this be out of general fund?
It will be out of the general fund. Actually, no, we need to transfer the $97,000 into the fire department fund to cover that. And we also need to know who's going to be paying the interest on this, general fund or the fire department.
So think about how it actually would play out there. So it doesn't really, I gotta be careful how I say it. Look, you use ARPA funds for the fire truck, and then we pay the catch basins out of our pocket, or we pay for the catch basins with the ARPA funds, and we pay for the fire truck out of our pocket. At the end of the day, it's kind of a wash, right?
Yes.
So
Just moving
do
ahead.
what we, use the funds for what we can use them for, and then we pay out of our general fund the rest.
So we've already moved the 97 over to the fire department, that would pay for the 97, and then we'll
I was
move.
going to bring that to the budget amendments. So what I had done was I did a transfer from, since you guys had approved the council had approved $97,000 to the fire department. So we can resend that, or I don't know how you want to handle that.
So if we pay it off tonight, we got to, there's the additional,
The money will be in general fund.
$4,833.99 interest.
right,
Okay, let's take the interest.
okay, motion then?
So we need a motion for that? We're
To-
sending the other one?
Pay it off.
To pay off the fire truck in the full amount of the 191.
Well, the total interest. It'll save, if you pay it off tonight, you will save $1,617.47. The difference between the purchase price and the 101,000 is $4,833.99.
Why would we stay with the 3-year plan? Because it doesn't really mean about the ARPA funds.
Right.
Yeah, if you stay with the 3-year plan, then you're paying the additional $1,600 in interest. Or you pay it off tonight and you save the $1,600.
I would support paying it off.
My only question is, and this has to do with the ARPA funds directly, we bought a lot of stuff with ARPA funds.
We haven't.
Okay, but we've talked about using ARPA funds to pay for this and that. Do we have that list, and are we catch basin,
So when we
we'll
went
wash
back,
this through, no problem?
yeah, we went back and then, Ms. Hazel went back and looked, and the only thing that we formally said we were gonna use the ARPA funds for was the fire truck,
Okay,
and we can't.
Trustee Metcalf, you're thinking of the Ways and Means where we set specific things at that meeting, but that was a recommendation by the council that I don't think ever went.
okay. All right, what is that dollar amount again?
To pay it off tonight is $101,832.99.
Okay, I will make a motion to pay off the vehicle in the amount of $101,832.99.
$33.
$33.
$33.99.
32 or 33?
33. 101,833.99.
$1,833.99.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have a motion, we have support.
Second.
It's been moved and supported. Any other discussion on the agenda item? All right, roll call.
Trustee Pankowski?
Yes.
Trustee Bertoli?
Yes.
Trustee Gilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero? Yes. Trustee Nono?
Yes.
And President Wilson.
Yes. Next is fire department turnout gear. Chief Steer.
Good evening, in front of you, you have a quote from NDS for $26,306.40. This is for turnout coat, paint, boots, helmet, and gloves to fit our firemen.
Will this come out of the fire fund?
Yes, sir.
Motion?
Well, any questions? I think, what are they?
MES, Municipal Emergency Services. Our turnout gear has a sunset on it. Current turnout gear is getting ready to expire, so we'd like to get this fully in, not knowing really when it's going to come in. They've been telling us about 8 weeks, but we don't know.
And if this is, this would then have all the turnout gear replaced, or is this just partial?
This is everything complete with the 3 other sets we did last month on the floor.
Any questions?
I will just say for comment, I know at the fire committee, we talked about trying to get a rotation on their equipment, so we weren't buying it all, but as Chief Steer says, there's an expiration date on this,
And as of December 21st of this month, that price goes up. And again, I can't tell me if that's going to be 5% or 50%, so we have the money, so we just like to take care of it now.
Motion made.
I will make a motion to approve the purchase of turnout gear from MES for $26,306.40.
Second.
That's coming out of the fire department's budget.
Second.
Moved and supported. Any discussion?
This will bring your entire supply of turnout gear up to date.
Correct. I didn't need to do that.
Have we heard anything about the recouping of the hazmat?
We have not even submitted that yet because we haven't received that set of turnout gear.
All right, any other discussion? All right, roll call?
Trustee Gronkowski?
Yes.
Trustee Polly?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Gilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
And President Bison.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, unfinished business. Item A, we removed. Item B, fire department cost recovery ordinance. I guess Chief Steer, if you want
I didn't get the updated ordinance. I think we were going to add something for section 2 that
we have a hard copy here.
I don't, I only have the old copy.
No, it's like yes.
Okay. So I believe we were adding another subsection to section 2.
We added what we spoke to you about.
Okay, perfect. That
It's
was my,
complete now.
what that?
It's complete now.
Perfect, that was my only, comment on it, so. Basically, what this is doing is allowing us to move forward with an accurate contract that allows us to recoup costs from incidences that happen. Again, though, this cost goes on to the resident, it goes to their insurance company. We have a preset charge that is set by the county, not set by us. That is how we're going to charge. We charge per engine and per manpower and per consumables.
I just realized the
I didn't know
version
that was
was.
attached.
Is that, because I closed it down here, I can't.
I just realized the version that's in our packet is the old ordinance.
Yeah, because it came out after, and you
Do you have a copy, Rachel?
I do not.
Okay, would you like one?
Sure.
Basically, our old ordinance really limited us to only being able to recoup costs from somebody who was, either a DUI or operating under the influence or whatever. This kind of opens it up for us to be able to recoup, floor drive for the average accident, consumables.
If I may, Mr. President, we researched a number, and you were given a number of ordinances, and we put it together, and I think this ordinance as proposed now pretty much covers almost every contingency. The minute you say that something unique will happen, and we'll amend it to cover that too, but it's passing the cost over to almost always insurers of cars, insurers of homes. And they've already underwritten the loss, and there's nothing unfair about that. And so it allows you to claw back money for services you provide that you're required by law to provide. It's a good idea, and I think that ordinance pretty much covers almost every contingency we could find in a normal fire, rescue, and health emergency situation.
So my concern last month, and I'm still reading it this way, so I don't know, maybe if you can address it, was, you said that this is going to be solely for insurance companies. You just said almost always, and I'm reading it as in, just by looking at the, I think in section 3, that we can go after anybody related to it, right? I mean, I just kind of...
That's the basic law of subrogation. You are always allowed, we put it in writing, but you're always allowed under the common law to go after a party that acted negligently to cost you money that otherwise you wouldn't be caused, or would not fall to you. That's not unique, that's not even new. You are always able to do that if you wanted to, even without this. By putting it down, people are given notice that this, and you don't have to do it. It gives you the power to do it. You're not required to do it. In other words, if there's a situation where you find it particularly loathsome or unjust to do it, you don't do it. Okay, but in the situation where you need to recoup for the taxpayer money that should not have been spent except for the gross negligence or obvious negligence of parties. It's a proper approach that's been recognized by the common law forever. Under the common law, it's called subrogation, where you pay the loss first and you file a motion for subrogation, suit for subrogation against the party that caused the unnecessary loss.
I would make an assumption, though, if we're gonna pass this ordinance, that the idea is we're going to try to recoup costs from every incident.
That's a policy decision, but not a legal decision. That's the decision of the people in charge. Which ones will you pursue, which ones won't you pursue? But you have the right to pursue them all. I would assume that in protecting the taxpayers, you would pursue them.
Because I'm thinking that could possibly open us up to other litigation if we chose to have you pay for your. But
You have to apply every law equally.
right, fair
But
enough.
you also have to be fair and equitable. Equitable is not across the board. Equitable is an idea of what's fair and right and just under the circumstances. And I see your point. We wrote it so that if you want to go and recoup money you shouldn't have had to spend except for the clear negligence of others, there it is.
So when we brought this up last time, I know our phones listened to us and everything, so one of the things that popped up on my feed was East Point had something similar, cost recovery ordinance, and they showed the and one of the things they were saying is they were afraid the residents were going to be afraid then to call for emergency services at that point, because they were feared that they were going to get charged. And then I look it up now, and apparently the following meeting, they must have done something because now it passed.
Right.
So I don't know what they changed on here, but it's just, that part is the part that kind of concerns me, that it's almost, I guess the term I'm using is almost like open season, but it's not the word I'm looking for. But it's just a concern of mine. I mean, I still like the principle of being able to do this too.
I will tell you this, that almost every community now has these statutes. The no-fault law has money available to pay these almost upon demand. You extract somebody from a car after an accident.
Through the insurance?
Through the insurance, yeah. Very seldom are individuals on the hook. The same, you can't get blood out of the stone. If you know the individual doesn't have much money, you have the absolute right to say, well, it's silly. But if there's an insurance money there, if there's commercial money there where a commercial person ignores, or a commercial entity ignores their duties, then you make the decision to proceed accordingly. And all this does is give the company you hired the power to do it. He hired a company that manages these things and makes those decisions, but they have to have the power of an ordinance behind
Do
it.
you have that implemented contract, though?
Yes.
So, I believe there's a section in there that asks if we want to, if that person doesn't have insurance, do we want to go after them personally? Obviously, there's an option that obviously we're not going to do, so it'll stop at the insurance company.
So not for businesses, but for residents, this would be kind of tied to the Michigan no-fault law, though?
In losses involving automobiles, yes.
Okay.
I believe even the insurance company caps at what you can even get reimbursed for.
Seems like I've been able to control my cough for a few seconds here now. Vicious circle, the hotter I get, the more I cough. The more I cough, the hotter I get.
Any other questions on the ordinance?
What ordinance number would it be?
398.
Sorry, what was the number?
398.
390. Do we have a motion?
And what was the last minute add that is in this and not the one already added?
Where
You
you
said
find,
you changed something?
under section 2, you get a new one?
I have the brand new one, I don't have it, I closed the one out.
So that's what's. Just wasn't specifically defined.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 398, the cost recovery ordinance.
I'll second.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion?
Just a question, so the Acumen contract is a separate,
That is a separate,
Yes.
next item.
This will be the company that will do the billing to the insurance companies.
Yeah, I think, the nice thing about this ordinance is that it's gonna help, when we have cases where we really shouldn't have had to, send the fire department out, we can get some cost recovery there. And that's gonna help them and their budget ultimately as well. Not saying that it needs to be a money-making venture, but, it's just, yeah, it's cost recovery, so, we're actually recuperating some of those costs. Any other discussion? Now we do roll call.
Trustee Dilbert?
yes.
Trustee Burkholz?
Yes.
Trustee Rona?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero?
Yes.
Trustee Dombrowski?
Yes.
President Benson?
Yes. All right, and then the next item on the, under unfinished business was the Acumen Group contract. So, Chief Seer, if you could kind of go over that again, just since we have
Yes,
some guys and
this
members.
is a company that's pretty much widely used within the county. Trustee Bonkowski, you asked me if there was any other vendors available. So I made a couple phone calls, and as far as I know, there is not in the capacity in which we, our contract here is really small compared to, the big billing of doing EMS and stuff like that. So very grateful that this company was even willing to take us on at such a small capacity. There is a one-time setup fee of $1,795. And what this company will do is they'll take the information that we give them, and they will send the insurance company our list of what we did, right? Engines, personnel. I used 2 bags of blow dry, and they will send that off to the insurance company. The insurance company will send back, okay, here we go. That check will come back to us, and then what we do is we pay an 18% fee on whatever we recoup. Again, there's no yearly or annual contract with the Acumen, it's just a one-time setup fee, and then whatever we recover. If we don't recover anything, then we don't pay anything.
But what if we do?
If we do recover, we give them 18%. 18% of whatever the insurance company gives us, we give back to Acumen 18%.
18%.
Yes, sir, 18% money.
Any questions?
And just so effective January of '21, this is our rates set by the county. So for an engine, a fire engine, it is $718 per hour plus personnel. And then it keeps going on and on. Utilities, rescues are $359, $478. That's what we would submit to the insurance company. So $718 for one engine would be the what we would submit on top of personnel, on top of our consumable.
Any other questions? You have a motion?
I'll make a motion to contract services with Acumed.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any further discussion?
Are other communities in their cost recovery, are they contracting with, say, Acumen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So they're not doing it in-house?
Their EMS billing, like I said, we're kind of mirroring off of what Harrison Township has. They use Acumed for all their billing, for their EMS billing, the fire billing, everything like that. I don't know about in-house. I don't know. But I do know that they're using Acumed, as of most fire departments in the county.
Okay, so you use Harrison as a comparison. Have you used any other smaller communities, like say Arvada, Richmond?
Ray Township right now is in the process of doing the exact same thing that we are. I did not speak with Richmond or the Baltimore. I did not know. But I know Ray Township is in the process of doing the very exact same thing.
So at the Rich just quoted us, even if we gave the 18% away, paid Acumed 18%, the cost recovery we would bring in, for the example you gave of an engine, we would get $622. So 3 calls and that virtually pays for itself, the one-time fee.
The ones up, yeah. And this 18% is money that, this is money we're recouping that we would normally not be recouping anyway. So the 18% is, we're still recouping money that we would normally not recoup.
And you said that was just the engine cost plus personnel, so
Yeah.
2 calls, we break even in 2 calls?
Pretty
Cost
much.
recovery incidents?
Pretty much. And again, I had a Delta insurance company that's going to give you the full amount, because they do have caps. Kind of like medical insurance, right? They're not going to pay your higher deductible.
But I'm looking at it as it's not something that'll take a year
Oh,
to
absolutely.
break even. It's
Oh.
almost like a month, maybe,
Correct.
a week.
I did a little bit of research on it too, and it's administrative work. So, I mean, we would have to put this task in someone else's hands. I don't know if that helps. When the 18th.
Good.
Yeah.
No. I'm just,
You want
I mean,
that?
I don't want to be, contracted with somebody. I just want to know what everyone else is doing. I mean, if no one else is doing it, then it may not be a good thing. But if everyone else is doing it, then I'm good with that.
If I remember correctly, I think we had motion and support. Do we have any other discussion?
I have
Sure.
and then after this, tell me what's down with my, should we pass some type of ordinance or about who we're gonna pursue and who we're not?
No, because that's what Acumen does, is the administrator of the
So
program.
they make the decision.
Yeah, they're
so-
like a third-party administrative company in workers' comp. I'll try to do this as quickly as I can. I used to own insurance companies. The ugly stepchild of insurance was subrogation. I don't care what you're in, whether it's medical insurance, whether it's auto insurance, whether it's life insurance, whether it's fire insurance. You ran the insurance company, you handled the claims, and you had 2 people in the basement somewhere that were trying to recoup money you should get, the subrogation department. Well, when you're busy and you're actually handling it, and your business is to do the business of everyday insurance, and everyday, in this case, everyday fire, rescue, medical, you really don't have the time, the personnel, or the training to go claw your money back. This company, I give them credit, they saw a niche area to go and do the work at value and say, you don't have to go chase the money back. They will, and they do it on basically a contingent fee basis. They don't get it back, it didn't cost you anything. If they do get it back, you pay them 18%. Now, I don't know if 18 is fair or unfair, but I know you wouldn't get the money back otherwise. I give this great, whoever came up with this idea, pretty smart group of people. Now, over the years, you may find that 18 is either too low or too high. we'll know that. Either these guys are filthy rich and 18 competitors come in, or they go broke, and you'll never get the money back again, because it's not easy to claw money back from people who already have a problem. So they'll know which money to go get. Where's the easy money? Which one can we send a letter and be paid? Which one, or, do we have to sue for? But they administer your program. That's when I read their stuff. They are like a third-party administrator. We'll administrate your clawback provision. Now, you don't have to continue with them forever. You can void the contract like any contract with notice and then. But to me, just from an insurance, and I'm going to draw on my insurance experience, when I started reading this, I thought to myself, why didn't I think of it? I mean, it's good for everybody if the numbers work out, but you won't know that for 2 or 3 years, whether the numbers are fair or unfair. They're taking a risk at 18%. I think it's too low. From my experience, I think they're going to find that they're going to be squeezed in the long run. But to your answer, Mr. Dilbert, I can tell you that more and more and more communities are signing on with these people because...
That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, because you're just too busy running the day-to-day operations to say, okay, let's go claw this money back on the last 10 fires or 10 rescues or 10 whatever. These people, like you said, and then they have this guidance from these accepted prices where, for this it's this much, for that it's that much, like a workers' comp schedule, you got so much for a broken arm and so much for a broken leg. It's very similar. It's a great idea from a legal and insurance standpoint. It's worth a try. That would be my advice. If it doesn't work, you cancel it.
Sure.
And you haven't lost like $1,700, right?
Okay. I'm good with it.
All right, we have moved and supported. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Trustee Bukowski?
Yes.
Trustee Guerrero? Yes. Trustee Dilbert?
Yes.
Trustee Nona?
Yes.
Trustee Pancoli?
Yes.
President Bison?
Yes. All right. Thanks, sir. Call from the floor. Call from the floor. Anybody want to come up? All right. Seeing none, call from the table.
I just have a question. At the budget workshop, we talked about obtaining a list of our committed purchases and how much we spent.
Committed purchases and how much we spent. Not sure if we've done that.
Okay,
Go forward.
just following that ARPA one.
Yeah, so we're supposed to do this stuff, yeah.
What we said we would, not what we should go over, but we use that term a lot, ARPA funds. I'm afraid we spend money.
So only the one item had a motion attached to it.
Correct.
Any other call from the table? Oh, sorry.
And regarding the agenda, everything go through that procedure thing, like requiring and if you want backup. I think that is what is on our hindrance in the past as we come to the table unprepared.
Right, yeah. Yeah, we tried to make sure that every single item that was on here for the meeting tonight had a backup or an email or something that was attached to it. Even if it was just, me sending an email just to talk about it and then PDF it and put it in the packet. You guys are gonna get tired of hearing me cough if you aren't already, so any other call from the table?
Yeah, but this meeting is 5 minutes longer because you're calling.
Now you gotta
Yeah, well, we still have 10 minutes before trustee Dilbert's, any other call from the table?
They can say.
Any other call from the table? Looks like you were getting ready to say something.
No.
No, okay. All right, well, I'll just want to say, this is the first meeting I've ever chaired, not only just as the village president, but just on any of the committees or any of the meetings. So appreciate that everybody made this first meeting very easy and was straightforward, and wasn't really contentious, and just appreciate it. I want to welcome you guys to the, again, formally to the council, and looking forward to working with everybody for the next few years. All right, we have a,
So moved.
motion to adjourn and supported. All in favor?